Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Random Chats with Makgofe. But today it's a dual shoot. So I'm here with Sophia Butomi. I don't know if you guys remember, there was an evening where I went live and we started talking about mental health, and I literally went to her YouTube channel and I read out what she had posted there. And here we are today because she really touched me, and I felt motivated because this topic is so pertinent in our society, especially as Black people, and yet we don't talk about it as much as we should. And sometimes another thing that I found, I'm not bringing in my spirituality on this one, but there's a fine line between buloi and mental health, guys. There's a it's a thin line. So Sophia went through a journey aiming, I think most of us human beings, I'm not going to say women, but most of us as humans, we go through it one way or another. But the journey, the lessons that are required to be learned there are the same. So I'm going to let Sophia introduce herself to you guys. And thank you for tuning in.
Hello everyone, my name is Butomi Sophia Chabalala and I am 28 years old. I am an accountant by profession, and I have been through my own fair share of trials in life that have today led me into wanting to open a YouTube channel and talking to people, trying to educate them on the importance of raising awareness on mental health. So I don't know if you would like me to just dive right in.
I want you to dive into it so that the questions that are asked will be around that, and then as we agreed before, you can also ask me questions if I can relate, to some of your experiences. I'm sure I will be.
Okay, so I have been through, there are two big events that happened in my life that contributed to my mental health. And in terms of, I went through depression, and there was a point in my life whereby I wanted to take my own life. The first big incident happened whereby I was raised by the church, in a church, because my father was a reverend. I had a happy childhood. I mean, I have 3 siblings, and all of us, I think the favorite person in the family for all of us was my dad. He was our hero. And he was an overall happy person. So when I was 12 years old, I remember I was in grade 8, I went to boarding school. And when I was in boarding school, I used to go home once a month. And it just so happened that this one Friday, my dad happened to come to the school without notifying the school that I was coming to visit. And on that day, I happened to have gone out with my friends. So I told the school that we're actually going to a close-by park. But when we got to the park, we actually decided, no, you know what, let's go to the mall. So when my dad got to the school, he was told that I was at the park. He went to the park, couldn't find us. There was a back and forth, because at some point I came across my friends and they were telling me, your dad is looking for you, he's at this spot. I went there and we kept on missing each other. So eventually around 4 p.m. I went back to the school. I tried to call him on his, we were using public phones back then at the hostel. I tried to call him and there was no answer on his cell phone. The following day, my uncle came to fetch me from school, and we drove straight to the hospital. And when we got to the hospital, that's where I found my mom, that she was admitted in hospital. And that's when I learned that the previous day my dad had went home and committed suicide. He was declared dead on the spot. And for me, what really broke me at that point in time is that I think from the 3 siblings, I'm the one who was closest to him. So I often would wonder and beat myself that, was he there to say goodbye, or was it there to take me with him? Because I was the last person to try to make contact with. The last memories I have of him were happy memories. I did not see any signs. So I often ask myself, had I actually stayed at school that day and he came, would I be able to identify something within him and actually help him out with that? Unfortunately, those are the answers I'll never get. Questions are forever, what ifs, and he didn't even leave a note. So the only thing that we have are theories as to he did it because of what. And another thing, that's what led me into a deep hole, because it seemed like I was trying to put the puzzles together. I was like, he loved me so much, I need to solve this, I need to solve it. And by that, I just want to try and emphasize to someone that when you commit suicide, you don't take away your pain. You actually pass it on to someone else. from the first person that will find you in that state, and in this case it was my mother who found him hanging. He left her with a mark that can never go away. To the next person, which is myself, who was a child who's trying to figure out, now I'm left fatherless and I have to grow up without a father. That wasn't a selfish act, and I often did. I went through most of my life not understanding why he tried to do, why he took his own life. So that was the first big change in my life. But growing up and continuing with my life, my mom did her best to raise us, and she did a phenomenal job, because I never felt the void of not having a father. The only pain that I suffered was he died because of suicide. Years later, the day.
But I want to go back a bit. How was your mom during that period? I mean, as kids, there's certain behavioral patterns that we'll observe from our parents, especially when another parent had passed on by their own hands. So now, in as much as you have those what those questions that are unanswered, mama, like as to what happened, what did you observe from her as a child? Because that will affect her. I'm sure she cries. Did you guys hear something like that? Or
my mom was immediately hospitalized from the moment she found him, because her body went into shock and she could not handle it. She was in hospital right up until the day before his funeral. So over the next couple of months, over the years, also she used to cry, yes, but then she didn't want to show it to us. But I discovered that whenever she used to go into the bathroom and flush the toilet, so that we could not hear her crying. But I realized that. So also with me, it used to freak me out whenever I hear someone flushing the toilet. At the back of my mind, I'm like, there goes again, she's crying. She did not show us the weak side of her. But then now the next challenge was coming. You know, when someone dies of suicide and they didn't leave a note, people have theories. People are talking, and because my mom happened to be the one to find him in society, now people were accusing her. They blame the woman. They were accusing her. So I feel like she did not necessarily have that time to mourn her husband as she should have, and to actually face her own trauma, because she was focusing on trying to clear her name, protect her, defensive mode, protect us as well. But I did notice certain behavioral changes, so much so that even now, when she hears bad news, automatically she gets hospitalized, she gets physically sick. So I have noticed those things. She tried to hide them, but
you can't, especially when you guys, it sounds like you guys were very close-knit. So when, there was no way that she could hide it. I can only imagine the pain. I almost use the French word, but it's tough being a woman, being a mother, being someone's lover, and then now you have to deal with the external factors. I'm talking about the in-laws, the relatives, and when someone dies under those circumstances, you need answers, and there's no way to get those answers, and everyone is looking at you like, what happened? Oh, the blame. So it's really sad. A lot of in-laws, and especially from the men's side, they tend to be very, very insensitive. And those kind of things, they literally traumatize not only the kids, the whole family, and also that fragmentation. Because now you'll be hated for something that even your mother doesn't understand, but it's taken out on you guys, and you're being excluded from coming to certain family events. And sometimes you guys will exclude yourself, because it's that thing, like, if you hate my mother, then you most definitely hate me as well. So will I be welcomed? Yes, they are your relatives, they are your but you know and you feel it, or like the love is not the same. Because now fingers are being pointed, you guys are also mourning, everyone is mourning, everyone lost. And the person who caused all of that is not here to answer. But yeah, your mother was expected to. Those are the societal narratives telling, I wish we could change. And also, there's certain things telling when I hear them happening, and I'm like, I'm a woman. I'm a mother. So if someone does those things to my son, or my son does those things to someone else, honestly to God, will I be so heartless and hide behind the fact like, no, my son would never do wrong? I'm not like that. I will, even my brother knows, I will chastise you. I will tell you like, okay, Mo, you did wrong. I will be fair.
But in that case, the person, that relative that you're supposed to tell, it's not fair. They are not
Yeah,
there.
not
But in my case, my dad was not there. He's no longer there.
That's what they will blame you. They will blame the family, irrespective. So how did, as you're growing up, because that kind of trauma and the lack of understanding, it seeps into your adult life. You will find something in your life as you get older, especially where issues of relationships come in. You will cleave onto someone because of there's a certain element or characteristics that they remind you of your dad, or there's certain things that they represent that you want to change. You don't want to have a repeat of something like that. I'm asking that because Lina, when I look at most of the relationships that I had, male relationships that I had, I would literally look for my dad, like qualities of my dad in that person. If I don't see something that identifies with him that I want, we will not date. If I see what they are there, I will probably nurture those. But I've got my own list that I was taking, like, this person's like this person's like that. No, I want this, I don't want that, I don't want this, I want that, I don't want that. And then you factor in the future as well, because whatever relationship you go into, there are future implications. You don't know how long you're going to be with this person, but as you grow, you talk about, certain life goals. Were you like that with your ex?
For me, no. How the whole thing of having a father and having him commit suicide affected me is that the parents or the adults around me noticed that I was not okay, and I went for counseling. Yes. And when I went for psychology, I did not know that there's something wrong with me at that time. All I knew is that every Tuesday and Thursday there's some lady that I'm seeing, and whenever after seeing her, I feel so much better because I used to sleep a lot. I distanced myself from other children and stuff like that. So whenever I see her, I remember there was this one activity that she made me do. Because when you lose someone in your life, there comes a point in time where you forget certain traits about them. I started forgetting his voice, and the sound of his voice used to break me down. So she used to make me draw him. She also used to make me write a list of traits that I loved about him. And I remember I loved how he used to keep his nails clean. I still love the smell of his favorite foam bath. And those are the positive things that I kept with me. And through psychology, and at that point in time, I got help, but I didn't know I needed help. I only discovered years later that the person I was actually seeing was a psychologist. And some of the things that I think I took from that experience that later affected my adulthood is that when I had my experience or my relapse into depression as an adult, and after experiencing what I had experienced, and I finally understood why my father took his own life. I didn't get answers, but having been in a situation that I was in, I also wanted to take my own life, and that was the most dangerous state to ever be in. So the day after I turned 14, I met a boy at church. Since I grew up in church, I spent a lot of time in church. We spent the next coming years together. We went to the same school, same university, same church. Later on, started working for the same company. He was my best friend. He was my first for most of the things. And he was someone who would, my dreams, somehow, some way, he nurtured them. He was my best friend, and he encouraged me to be the best version of myself. So we dated for 9 years. It was 9 beautiful years. And I remember he first asked me to marry him when I was in grade 12, just before I wrote my final exam. And I was like, but you're only doing your first year in university, so if we get married now, where are we going to live? Please wait for me until I finish my studies. And during my 4th year at the university, it was my final year, I was doing Bachelor of Accounting Science. I decided to drop out of university, and he was like, okay, Now you said I must wait for you to complete your studies. Now you've dropped out of university. How do we measure? When are we going to get married? And I just asked, give me time. And I was doing that over and over again. It's not like I had doubts about him. I never had any doubts, but I don't know, for some weird reason, I just wanted to cement myself as well. But I could never truly get to that point. And in 2015, I finally agreed to marry him. We agreed that we'll get married in December.
And he's been asking for how long?
It had been about 5-6 years.
So he started asking in 2010.
2009 actually.
2009. I appreciate it.
So yeah, you even said that if you don't marry me this year, then I'm not going to ask you again. But when you are ready, you are going to pay lobola for me. So I was just like, oh, okay, rather now than later, right? I think it's the perfect timing. So unfortunate, I found out that I'm pregnant. So we decided to move the whole celebration to August. Okay. So we got married August 2015, and in December I gave birth to our healthy, bouncing baby boy. I remember that day on the 23rd of December so well because it was the last day I was genuinely happy. On the 25th of December, I got discharged from hospital, and there were back and forth fights between our families as to whether I'm going to be with my mom or be with his family. But eventually I ended up going to be with, I went to my in-laws after giving 3 days, I think 3 or 5 days after giving birth to my son. Going there was the worst decision I ever made. I mean, these people they had known me a day after I turned 14. His parents were my parents. I grew in front of them. So I really thought I knew them. But I remember, I think my son was about 7 days old. I could just hear people in the house saying, see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock, see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And tomorrow came. The normal people that wake up and go to work are not going to work. And he's also there. I remember at around 10, we're sitting in the living room, and I'm like, okay, I asked him, everyone is going somewhere at around 12 or 1 o'clock. So where is everyone going? He's like, oh, I didn't tell you, just get ready, we're going. I was like, where are we going? So he just got up and left. So a few minutes later, my mom called me just to check up on me, and just hearing her voice and hearing that love inside of me, I don't know what, but something inside of me just said, cry. I just started crying. Everyone is coming, the aunt, the mom, they're coming in the room, they're asking me what's wrong. I said, I don't know why I'm crying, but something doesn't seem right. Where are we going? Everyone is going somewhere at 1 o'clock. Where are we going? And they said, your husband didn't tell you, and they walked out of the room. It went on like that up until around 3 p.m. I was still crying because they said we can't go for as long as I'm crying. And I said, you're not even telling me what attire I need to wear. What am I changing the child? They were like, no, the way you are perfect. Just take the baby and we'll go. So I gathered, I just stopped, I did not fully stop crying, but I had just trying to catch my breath. And they were like, let's go. We got in the car and we drove to the next village. And as soon as we got to the gate, I could identify where we are. I broke down as we got to the gate, and I held him. I was like, I asked you the first time I met you what faith you believe in. You said you believe in God. What are we doing here? I noticed we were never again. I could just, and I remember telling, like, I started crying. I was like, how can you do this to me? Like, meaning like, we're not here to kill anyone. We're here to help the child. And he just pushed me. I remember I held on to my son and I cried so much. We're already there. I was surrounded by
his family was there. They kept it a secret, and wow.
Everyone was just being like, why are you crying the way you're crying? Everyone was confused, but eventually we walked in there and we sat down. I was crying heavily, as in like, And I remember as I sat down, the Sangoma asked me 3 questions that required a simple yes or no. And at that time, I gathered enough strength to stop crying and say, lady, I'm here against my will, as you can see. But you do whatever you need to do to my child. Give him back so that I can get out of here and leave. She tried to open the Bible and read Bible verses for me, assuring me that she's also a Christian. She won't do anything to hurt my child. She did whatever processes she did, and when she was done, I got up and I left. She gave us some muti saying that my child needs to start using immediately, which I refused to use. We drove back in the house. I remember that day I refused for anyone to touch my child. I was just lying there. I could not talk. I was just sitting crying. I was traumatized because that these people, I met them at church. What are we doing here? When did things change? And the next couple of days, it was that fight between them trying to feed my child those things, and I was fighting. But at some point, eventually I got tired. I let them get away with whatever they did, but I was not okay. I was not okay. I remember I got to a point I was like, I think it's better if I leave my child here. I abandon him. You do whatever you need to do with him. When you are done, call me. I'll come fetch him, and you'll never see him again. Another relative stepped in and said, I think it's best if you take your child and just go back. Both of you go back to Johannesburg. No one will fight with you. When you're at your parents' house, there are fights. When you are here, you are having problems. Maybe go back to where you guys stay. And I honestly thought things would get better, but from that point, our lives had never been the same. My husband, someone I had known for so long, turned into something I didn't know. I would receive phone calls every day from my in-laws talking however they would wish to talk to me. And I could not ignore that calls because my husband would tell me I'm a rich spoiled brat who will never understand poor people problems. I don't accept his family by ignoring their phone calls. So I would literally sit there, listen. 1 hour, I hate 3 minutes. 1 hour, that 1 hour, Vodacom. They used to call me telling me how much of a coconut I am, how much I'm unable to take care of their son. We stayed together for 1 year before we got married. And the way I washed his laundry was okay. But all of a sudden, it's not okay. I remember I got blamed for him gaining weight. They said I'm feeding him so much trash that he started gaining weight. I mean, he even took off his ring and said that, I mean, by March, his ring was long gone. I mean, we got married in August, but by March, his ring was long gone. And it started from, I gained weight, it doesn't fit anymore, to when I'm saying it's fine, we'll just resize it, to, oh, so you like me when I'm fat, you are making me fat intentionally. I got blamed saying that my child is not, I'm skinny, as you can see, but my son was also skinny, but he was healthy according to the doctors. But I was being blamed that he's not gaining weight. And I mean, I had 3rd-degree cuts after giving birth. That was not healing properly. I had to go back for an operation. He was demanding his rights as a husband. And I remember the one day I just got into the room, laid down. I was like, look, I'm in pain. What do you want me to do? And he just said to me, you know what, if you can't satisfy me, you know, we live close to Alex. No, he specifically said we stay close to a college in Alex. I have a car. Girls like guys with cars. I can go park my car by Alex and we can have any girl. That went on for up until June. And at that point in time, my self-esteem had gone down. I started cutting people off.
That will break you psychologically because you're being gaslit. You are being... Okay, continue, because I'm just wondering, when did they notice that we are not good enough anymore? And also the fact that like black people, black families do not, and I spoke about this before. When you come from a background where, first of all, respect is only centered around certain things when it's beneficial for you guys, and when it doesn't work for you or it doesn't suit your favor, you turn the story around. You don't acknowledge or you have an issue or you have preferences. You turn it around, you blame Mwanabat. Now go mo le rena di se di tokoloshi ka montle mo sturi di teng gore ke motho o nyana tokoloshi turi. Because I'm failing to understand where or when did communication become a rich person or a pure person's problem. You knew your family's spiritual or religion orientation. Now I'm twofold. I am into the traditional stuff. I believe in those things. And also, you can't tell me nothing about God. I believe in those things too. But the fine line here is communication, guys. It's as simple as that. Like, listen, in as much as we met Kopi again, when we bring a life into our family, this is our culture, this is our customs, this is our tradition. Will you be okay having a family or building a family or having a child with me under those circumstances? Because again, yes, we talk about you explain those things to a person, and especially a person they come from a staunch Christian background. There's no fine line with them when it comes to the people bending. There's no fine line between church and spiritual traditional things. So let's not insult each other. Let's not belittle each other. Let's not judge each other just because someone is doing something and you don't like, you don't understand, and you don't know. Rather inform and teach, and then see if whatever it is that you're putting on the table, someone understands that. Because especially as black families, I still don't understand that. How did his parents, a mother, deem it fit or okay as a woman? She came from somewhere else. She got married into that family. She wasn't born into that family. The mother, she got married into that family. So she was supposed to have taught you or explained to you certain things that they do in that family. As young as you were, you come from a different background.
I think had they explained things to me and they took away their choice.
They took it
I
away
think
completely.
the thing that traumatized me the most is how they went about. I don't think I would have been traumatized by going to a song on my head, things being communicated. But that's crazy. It's like a scientist coming to you now, telling you they take you to a lab and they start putting things in you and they say go on with your life.
Yeah.
Even today sitting here, I don't know what those things they gave my son, what they are for. So it's like it subconsciously works on me. Whenever he's sick, I panic. Is it possibly because they gave him those things and at some point I threw them away? He never finished those things. I don't know, and I can't even. I don't even know where to go to get answers.
I can
don't know
explain to you what they gave him, what they gave your child, because Lena, I did that.
They put it over fire. Did they put your kids over fire? They did that, and she did say that she won't cut him because she could tell that I'm from a Christian family.
What kind of fire?
So no, there was fire burning. So like. I didn't see her at that time when we were there, but there was smoke coming from. It was more like almost ashes. She burnt something. It was already burning actually when we got there. So I'm moving, whatever.
Around with that thing. It's the same thing. That is to repel evil spirits.
Oh, okay.
That is to repel evil spirits. And then the cards, depending on what they mix it with, they anchor the child. It's not to protect, it's not to harm the child, but to anchor the child. Like, because there will be some relatives when they know the child's full names. They would use that to incarnate evil spirits or like you know how now like reached a stagnant point and something in those kind of things. So when you anchor your child spiritually, it's right. Even though we believe in God, yes, but us as black people, there are those cultural things that we still have to do. So Mana in his family side, they failed to explain that to you because at the end of the day, these are not our kids. These kids belong to their fathers. They belong to our husband. Where now you're just a vessel giving birth, we need to acknowledge that first of all, Mwana belongs to Papa. Now we have to rear them and make sure that we put values and principles in as they grow into the world. They'll make us very proud. But the spiritual element should have been communicated and explained to you. Or that thing needs to be treated because that thing needs to be treated because it can affect one or can die. And then child caught death. Mwana died in their sleep. Yeah.
My child didn't have that.
So depending on the strength of a parent's prayer, that also comes into play. But going the traditional route, it's also important for those things to be done, depending on how active one your badimbageno are in your life, because or their energy, the kids remember it's almost like the little angels. So there's certain things that they see. Hence, in a way, like, okay, maybe now I do this. I talk to them like I'm talking to an elderly person. I acknowledge their presence, I respect their presence, and you need their energy or their spirit to welcome you as well. Just because no. What if you chill? What if you just had an abortion, you didn't say anything? What if you slept with someone? You know, those kind of things. And then that's a pure innocent energy. You need to respect those things. That's why when I go to certain places or events, I don't eat their food. Because I don't know who cooked that food. I get to the energy and they cook the food. If I eat, I'm going to regret. 30 minutes is enough. I will be sick. You can't explain it. I'll literally have to do something to rid my body of the food.
But here's my concern. If something is so good, it is so, and it's done with good intentions, why so much effort to keep it a secret?
To shroud it in
and
secret.
Also
that's what also makes me angry.
The secret, not only from the outside people, but from me as the mother of the child.
Yeah.
Now when I go in future and have, let's say I had stayed in that family and have future kids, if the relatives had, God forbid, had passed on, what do I do to those kids? Exactly, wherever, and ask for help.
Yeah.
Secondly, for me, it's like on a daily basis, we don't acknowledge Badiu. So now, it's a matter of communication.
Yeah.
When do we practice what for who or why, or just to correct, his mother was not married, and I don't want to be specific as to which relatives took me there.
Okay.
However, whoever, it was definitely a group of females within the family. Females.
Where was the mother?
Need to.
Where was his mother?
It was relatives. Can I keep it
Okay.
at that?
Okay.
Relatives.
Okay.
Female relatives. So for me, it's why so much secrecy for me as well, and when or how do we acknowledge? How do I know which spirits they committed him to? There are so many surnames involved. Whose spirit did they commit him to? I don't know. And should there be something wrong? Where do I go to get help? Where do I fix this?
That's another thing now. You see now when you put it the way that you're putting it, and it's scary, and it also makes me question certain intentions now that they wanted to do with the child, and you can't even communicate to the mother to ease her up, and also knowing your background as well, and your husband is 2,000% to blame for all of this, because he knew you better than all of those people.
Should have protected me.
He should have protected you. He should have protected his child, because there are some relatives when so sometimes if you want to destroy someone's life, you, especially their children, you catch the kids very early on. Their foundation is set, foundation and destruction, foundation and failure. So Linda, now I'm just wondering, why did they keep it a secret? What is it exactly that they wanted to do, and they couldn't explain to you? You know, whatever whatever they tried to do, reading a Bible or whatever. Listen, it could be a ploy when you don't know why you are there in the first place. You are reading a Bible to appease me for what? I'm here already. I just told you, I'm here against my will. I didn't even know we're coming. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Because if genuinely you would say no, I won't do that. I won't do that. The mother is here, wallah. So how do you take an energy? She's not happy. She doesn't know why she's here. How do they say it's okay to continue? I wouldn't. I honestly wouldn't, and I would like to believe there's so many of them that are shrouded by certain integrity. Or you don't do something to earning like that person is not happy, is not willing, to partake in that thing. So I understand your trauma.
But even with everything that was happening, I was still holding on to the relationship that we had for 9 years. It was 9 years versus 9 months that we had been married for, but things escalated so bad. They got out of hand come June. So much so that everything that was going wrong, I found that there was everything that was doing wrong was like, but your mother.
Your
mother? Yeah. So much so that I decided
how did your mother come into?
That's a very good question, but the one last incident whereby I decided to cut my mother off is whereby it was that time of elections. She was part of elections. They had to. We were based in Limpopo. She had to come and do some registration here in Joburg.
Okay.
So the public transport that was being used left her because she was late.
Yeah.
So she drove here on her own. She had to queue on her own, do everything on her own. By the time she was done with everything, it was too late for her to drive back home.
Yeah.
She tried to call me, but my phone was off. She tried to call my husband. There was one missed call on his phone.
Yeah.
You understand why. So she decided, because she needed accommodation, it was too late. She was with another friend. She decided to just come to our place. And when she got there, I was so happy to see her because I had cut off a lot of people. I was so happy to see her, but because the place where we were staying was too small.
I just need clarification on why you cut off a lot of people.
The last couple of months, like I'm saying, the way I've been treated, I was being treated. The hateful words and stuff like that. I was not myself. I had already even started losing weight. I looked horrible. So it was easier for me to keep what was happening to myself because I didn't understand. Even the whole Sangoma incident, I didn't tell anyone because I was too ashamed. I was too scared. And at the back of my mind, I thought, what if someday we are okay and I forgive him? Will everyone else be able to forgive him?
Yeah. Okay.
So now my mother came with a friend. They just rocked up, and I remember he booked them into a guest house. We had not been okay for a while, so I was so happy that he did that for my mother.
Yeah.
So by the time they left, they spent the night there. The following day, because they didn't even have cosmetic, I gave them cosmetic bag. When they brought back the cosmetic bag, I remember the nanny. She was in the kitchen. She was standing in the kitchen. My mom literally walked into our bedroom. She put the cosmetic bag on our table and she left.
Yeah.
That's how the nanny narrated it to me, and she left. Now a few days later, I was thanking my husband. My mom came into town. He booked her into a lodge. That's awesome. I was happy. Honeymoon phase. It was okay for 2 days. Then after that was like, I was sorry. You're not ashamed. Your mother just came into my house unannounced, and you don't see anything wrong with that. I was like, but you were okay with it. What was wrong with it? She was like, no. He was like, I felt disrespected. But she was stranded, and she did try to call us. Did you not find a missed call? She was like, I only found one.
But so it was a missed call.
And she had tried. I also found missed calls when I eventually switched on my phone. So what was she supposed to do? So he found that very insulting. And for the next couple of days, there were phone calls going back and forth. And with his family, they were like, it was disrespectful for my mom to come the way she did. What did she want to do? Did she want to harm him for walking into our bedroom?
Wow, yeah. No, of course, everything will be dissected and it will be bad. And
so it was one of those incidents for me. Or there were a lot of situations before.
No, that's when you know when love has soured. Like there's just nothing.
It had soured already for months, but I just kept on holding on to the 9 years.
Yeah, we do that. I mean, you guys were in love. Things were good, and there was just even no sign that listen, your world would turn upside down any time. Yeah,
so by the time she left, now I remember calling my aunt. I'm like, these are the problems I'm facing with my in-laws. They think my mom wanted to do something bad to him. So what do you recommend I do? Because they're saying I need to reprimand my mom. So I remember my aunt was like, I think a lot of things have been said to cover up whatever they are doing the last couple of months. I think you should just
Did the family sit down and your family, his family sit down and really try to talk, to build some sort of like a new foundation, or to understand exactly what happened and why did it happen, just to find a way forward?
But that's where I'm getting to.
Okay.
Eventually, my aunt recommended that maybe I should cut my mom out of my life because a lot of things are being blamed. I remember taking my phone, calling my mom. I said, Mama, I think going forward we should cut off our relationship. And I remember her crying at the other end of the line, but she said, anything to save your marriage, my baby. Now, just the following weekend after that, on a Friday, he comes home, we are happy, all is well. For the first time in a very long time, we had been broke for the longest time.
Yeah.
Now he comes home, we are planning how are we going to survive the following week before month end. He says we'll borrow 100 rand here, there, That's the plan. I go, he leaves me in the bedroom, he goes into the living room. Around 10 p.m., my husband does not drink, does not smoke, does not party. I go into the living room, he's not there. Start looking for him, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, he is still nowhere to be found. I looked outside.
Car is gone.
Car is gone. He's never stayed out that late before. Contacted his friends, nowhere to be seen. Everyone is saying you were the last person we saw him with. 6 a.m. the following morning, my son was 6 months old at that time. I did not sleep. I was breastfeeding. I was crying the whole night thinking,
the
worst. 6 a.m. I go to the police station trying to open a missing person file. And I remember the police saying, it's too early. What if maybe he went to get a snack somewhere and he overslept? Give him a chance. If by 12 he's still not back, come open. Come open. A missing person. So around 12, eventually his friends came through. We went to open a missing person file. They had given me they had given me a list of mortuaries and hospitals within the area to go look for his body. And I asked his friends to come and help me because I was not strong enough to do so. We involved with the family. Everyone was involved. Around 12, I officially opened a missing person file. They gave me until 2 o'clock to finish contacting everyone I could contact. If by 2 o'clock we still haven't found him, they are starting to investigate. We went our separate ways, and indeed by 2 o'clock, still nothing. The police started to do their part. 5 p.m., lucky enough, something inside of me just said, try to call the car track. And thankfully, my name was a contact person. I called the tracker people. I had even started a WhatsApp group with families and friends trying to update them every step of the way. The car tracker around 5 p.m., they say they've located him somewhere in Mpumalanga. It was 3 hours, 58 minutes away from where we're staying. There was one toll gate that you would pass. I did that research. And I'm thinking, we are broke. There is no way my husband drove that way. I'm thinking the worst thing. And now my brother is based in Mpumalanga. So when they're giving me the location, I'm already thinking, yo, they killed the poor guy and my brother's going to be blamed because he's based in Mpumalanga and he has a gun. Eventually, the checker people call back and they say, we have found your husband by the mall. He's just surprised when we say there's a wife that's looking for him. And eventually, about 5 minutes later, he switched on his phone because his phone had gone off from the previous day. We got hold of him, and before then, I remember already not having not slept the whole night. I remember being at the police station, opening the missing person file, crying my eyes out, and his mother called and she said, what did you and your mother do to my child? And I remember I gathered enough strength to stop crying, and I said, Mama, whatever you think I did, let's just assume I did it. Now what? So eventually when we do find him, he just sent me a text. He said, I'm coming home, baby. And I started counting from 5 p.m. I started counting, and he only got home the following morning at 2 a.m. Trust you me, if you know that the whole world was looking for you, I would assume you rush home. But nonetheless, he came home, no explanation. First Father's Day, didn't spend the day at home. Days continued, and my final breaking point for me, it was on that very Thursday. And I remember I told everyone, don't call my husband. I don't want him to be disturbed. If he felt the need to hustle money, wherever he did, and drive to Mpumalanga, somewhere in a hotel. Clearly there was some peace that he needed that he was not getting in the house. So please let him enjoy that peace. I don't want anyone questioning him. And to date, as I sit here, it's been 4.5 years, I still do not know where my husband had gone. All I know is that had something had gone wrong, I would have been blamed. We worked for the same company. We're literally 2 desks away from each other. That Thursday, while I was at work, I received a call once again from a female relative, and she was like, my baby, if you guys are having problems, it's better to come home and we talk about the problems, but there is no need. That statement is basically there is no need to hire a hitman.
What the?
So I remember asking her, if that's what you think, why didn't you call your own? Are you saying that I'm trying to kill him? At that time, I was 22 years old. I had only been started working for about, I was only started
and
working.
You guys are struggling financially,
so
struggling you will benefit what by removing your child's
I had gotten a funeral policy in January. He was still on the waiting period. Yeah, 10,000. I didn't know. People, please do your research about funeral policies. Had my husband died at that point in time, I only had a funeral policy of 10,000 rand. I had 0 rand in the bank account. I most probably would have struggled to bury my husband, but someone else was saying I tried to kill him. all of that. I remember finally I sent him a text. I'm like, I'm moving out. And within a millisecond, he responded, and I sent him a message. I said, I'm moving out.
Yeah.
Within a millisecond, he responded, and he said, okay.
Yeah.
So that was the end of our relationship. My family tried to call family meetings. We went to his house. It was house to let. There was no one there. Eventually, when we met up with the mom, she did say she packed up her bags without getting approval from anyone. She left at her own accord, so she must decide what she wants to do. So I decided to stay single. So that was the end of my marriage. We dated 9 years, 9 beautiful years, and we're only married for 10 months. My last day of being happy at that point was from the 23rd of December, because it was just one drama after the other. So from that point, from the moment I decided to leave the relationship, there were rumors in the community that my husband left me because I tried to kill him. There were rumors that Naloya. There were rumors that I was found in bed with another man. Lord knows I could not stand the sight of men at that point in time. Hearing all those rumors, I was strong. I was keeping silent. At that point in time, remember everything that had been happening. I was not telling anyone. My family did not know. I remember my mom was like, please tell me what you went through so that I can know how to protect you.
Yeah.
But I feel like God at that point in time just silenced me.
Yeah.
I just...
For a reason.
I couldn't respond. I could not respond. I said, whatever you are hearing about me in the community, Mama, just know that I'm your child and I'm back home. Now what? Yeah. And my family welcomed me back with open and loving arms. I got the best support. Unfortunately, seeing someone on a daily basis, having suffered the kind of emotional abuse that I suffered the last couple of months, it got too much for me. In October, when I finally saw pictures of him on social media with another woman, for me, that's all it took to finally put the nail on my coffin. I remember I just looked at the picture over and over again. I was driving around Joburg and it felt like, this is it.
And you're calculating all those pains, sadness, the betrayals that you went through, this person put you through. Instead of saying, listen, you know what,
I had prayed the most throughout my marriage, but God never saved it. And I was questioning everything about me. I was questioning everything about myself, about God. I was questioning everything about my belief, which was the right one. Is it tradition? Is it spiritual? Because I was praying, but God didn't come through for me. And looking at that picture, I was driving over around Joburg, and I told myself the next beach that I'm going to see, I'm just going to drive over it. I did not necessarily want to die, but I was tired of feeling pain. I just wanted to stop the pain. I thought maybe if I drive over, maybe someone will finally hear my cry. I don't know how, but I thought it would be loud enough.
But you see, now the contradictory factor there, or the irony, is the very person that you want acknowledgement from, who you are hurting, doesn't give a fuck. Excuse my French.
There's no better way of putting it.
It just doesn't.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
But those are the triggers that would send someone else over the edge. It's okay. It's lack of communication on both sides, and both sides. I'm talking about me knowing you as your partner. I know you better than anyone else. You know, I should communicate certain things, even about myself, that I'm not happy about, or that are happening, or that I want to happen in the relationship.
You think I didn't try?
No, not you.
Okay.
Not you. Him. Because right now, every single thing that he did, people who are not loyal, liars, cheaters, manipulators, gaslighters, they will never, ever. Actually, your ex-husband is a narcissist. He's a narcissist. Classical.
You said that, not
case.
me.
Yeah, a narcissist. Because I had one in my life, but that's an episode for another day. So there are classic personal traits, saying like, they are never wrong. You will never get a sorry from a narcissist. He will never come and apologize. He will never admit to you, like, listen, I was not happy. He will never tell you, like, listen, you were right. Feeling or saying those things that you told me. I am sorry for putting you through hell, because now I was not man enough to acknowledge certain things. You are not going to get that until God hits him where he has to be hit the most. Until God brings him down to his knees. And Abon, you know, God is a way of humbling you. But when he does that, I pray to God that like a lot of people will have the wisdom of discernment to know, this is the period where I'm supposed to learn my lesson. What I put Sophia through, this is where I found myself, but it's a different situation now. You know, I pray that that has happened for you, or that will happen for you, because karma is a bitch.
So
360 degrees. It comes back. That energy that you give to someone else, it's gonna bounce back to you. It's like a boomerang. So hence, I give you the respect that I want from you first. I cannot demand something from you that I'm not willing to be giving of to begin with. It's not possible to live like that. So I'm hoping and praying for people like that. God will answer them, will give them the same medicine that they've been giving to other people. Honestly. Because for me, it doesn't make sense. Why must the bad guy always win? Fuck.
It doesn't make sense to me, but that's the funny part, that I pray a different prayer. Because to me, I don't just see the guy that hurt me, I see the father of my child. I believe that when he makes it, when he's okay, when he makes it our side, because he has a good relationship with our child, I believe that our child will also grow. I'm trying to have a healthy relationship. I don't know how God made me, because somehow, somewhere, I forgave without receiving an apology. And I'm not expecting that, because at that point in time, I used to pray, my initial prayer, that's how I knew I'm healed. My initial prayer, at first I was like, yo, God, please strike them with lightning. Every single person that hurt me. And the more I prayed like that, the more they succeeded. New houses, new cars, promotion. No, I'm struggling. God, everything of mine, it felt like God was removing everything in my life. Attacking my job, everything else, my health.
No, you started doubting yourself.
I was long gone. I had a reason to doubt myself. I looked horrible. I'll show you pictures. I looked horrible. Depression did the most. It was eating me from the inside. So I needed to, now I moved from God strike them with lightning to God, let them live longer so that they can see my through me. But then my prayers now, I'm like, God, fix me, work on me. My prayers don't include them anymore. That is how, and that is why I opened the YouTube channel, because I want to spread the positivity. I knew I've healed. It took me 2 years to finally heal. After trying to take my life, after going through psychology, 3 different psychologists, and I felt like it's not helping. And finally getting that spiritual healing or spiritual guidance from a church is what did me justice. And recently, Sophie Ndaba just said, the reason why I connected very much is that
I watched that.
I was pretty, right?
So beautiful.
I look good right now. I feel confident
because
in my
your
skin.
spirit is happy. Your spirit is
every
content.
single way. God has done wonders on me. It felt like He was preparing me for my testimony.
He was working through you,
What I went through with my dad, I feel like it was just a foundation, but that's not necessarily my story. That's my mother's story to tell, because she suffered.
No. Don't remove yourself from the equation. He was your father. Yeah. He was your dad. He created you. So you are part of him, whether you like it or not. He is in you. In the same way that we pray to God. You know? True. So you were chosen for a reason, my sister. Let me tell you why you went through that. You were chosen for a reason. And when God chooses His people, you best believe the whip is more painful than those who are in the background. We call on God, Badimu, guardian angels. This is how I am going to show my strength, who I am, through her. But first, I need to clean that vessel. I need to remove the worldly mentality. So that when I feel it with me, there's no one who's going to come to her with notions or facts or stories about me that she won't be able to stand. I stand as a witness. Mudimu, my God did this for me. So that testimony has to come from you. You had to witness every single life challenge that we can think of. Some people can only imagine. I went through that journey. And when I did my own 360 degrees, and I'm like, God, okay, I know who you are. I sat down here. He took away the comfort. He took away what I used to know. Bona, he took away. There was a point in my life when I knew, like, listen, God is here. There was, I will tell you that there's nothing difficult on this planet. Nothing impossible. And it's still so. But having come from that belief system, God dragged me to a level where he wanted me to have nothing. And those nothings are spiritual nothings. You must remember, he knows also what he needs to do to cover you as you're going through that pain. But internally, you are a mess. You are struggling. You are... Nothing makes sense for you. Your world has been turned topsy-turvy. You don't know bottom to left, right, center. Listen, you are just here. You are just here in between. You need to find your compass. You need to find your center. And when he's done with you, that's when you're like, okay, right. Or you're going through what? Do you know this God that I'm talking about? Do you know this Yahweh that we sing about? Mighty man of war. Do you know him? They'll only understand once you start telling your story. And I feel so vindicated. Like, vindicated. Life is not supposed to be fair. Even now my prayers have changed. My prayers have changed in a way, ending like I don't pray your classical biblical prayers. For example, I pray that God will not punish my kids for my sins and their father's sins. I pray, I am the right person for anything that is supposed to, that God wants to happen. It must locate me. I am not at the right place. No. I am the right person. I'm just waiting for God to perfect his will through me. But I will always be at the right place. I am the right person for everything that I desire. And as long as it's willed by God, it will happen.
It will.
Yeah. So those tests that you went through, God needed your testimony to be so authentic so that no one can question it. You are a chosen one. And every single family has that person who has to take them out, like Moshe in the Bible. Every single family. And we tend to call them the black sheep of the family. They're not the black sheep. When someone does not understand the spiritual work that God is doing in their lives, but they will do things like you will not even understand. It will not make sense when you think about them in a logical sense. Because spiritual things don't make sense. So for regular, like I'll meet people and they'll tell me their life stories. Nagana go shopping in a queue. Someone will tell you their life story. By the time you reach the counter, I'm like, okay, guys, because I'm just no, I'm done. I'm depleted. I am depleted. And that's when I was like, okay, I know that was God. Manaba doesn't know me from a barrel soap. And it was like that woman filled me up with a story. Her life experiences. I stood outside the store. I'm like trying to get a woozer before I get into my car and drive off without buying the stuff that I wanted. When she came out, I told her, come just go meet my husband and my children. Guys.
When you are cold, you work overtime.
And it's overtime. They think like, listen, just because it's daylight, there's still time. But it's spiritual overtime. Knowing that you need to recharge, but because you know who you are living for, what you're created for, you never get tired. So you can't go home. I light candles. I love candles. I will light my white candle and I will pray. Because you do need to purge that energy that you picked up from outside. It's important to do that. Whatever else that you have to do, but you need to purge that. To like, okay, 12 midnight, that's my prayer time. And I need to recharge myself. I need to renew myself. Hence, a friend of mine, I call her, she's my spiritual sister. I made sure, I took a conscious decision now. Every day is going to be a new day. It's a new year for me. It's a new year. I am celebrating. Don't ask me what I'm celebrating. It doesn't matter. Today it's a new day. It's a new year. So if we do that consciously, you will see flowers will just be sprouting. When you look at the thing, like, oh, do they see that orchid? Do they see those lilies? Because your energy is different. You see things differently. When people come to you with different challenges, they know like this strong woman here, she's a sounding board. Oh, Bonnie hell, she went to hell and back. So I know whatever it's in a safe place. I can be myself. I can do whatever, and she can handle it. Your son is so blessed. Your son is so blessed to have a mother like you, because you will be standing in that corner, also your shield and background, like, get ready, come.
Hey, every day.
Get ready, come.
No, that's interesting. You know,
no,
I am untouchable. Like, I've been prepared. I got like the training.
So you need to thank your ex-husband and his family. They created a warrior. They created a warrior. No, don't worry. They will come one by one. One by one. And it's not like Ubabaka one by one. No. They'll be coming bona now. There will be something in them. You owe that child an apology. And deep down you know, but because of about children like this, come on, who is like from one. It's not gonna happen. But Moya, the spirit, God, no one's gonna humble them, they'll come. And please to see them with those warm, loving arms. So yeah, that's wow. I don't we even veered, of course, but I love the way the conversation turned out, because a lot of people struggle with that. I don't know if you watched the live that I did, Gabriel, about parents that are living their life through their kids, to a point where Butomi, as a 30-year-old, is not good enough to make, it's not good enough to make certain financial decisions because when you want money, but she's good enough to go and work and come home with a salary.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Not good. I'm good enough to make a baby and marry that child, but I'm not good enough to raise him. Yeah, I've been there.
Like those kind of madness, like what can I do? So, no, guys, before I forget, Butomi, please go to YouTube and check it out. Second Chances with Sophia B. YouTube.
That's how we speak.
Chances. She speaks about healing. She speaks about her journey. She speaks about mental health. Like, all of us are affected, infected, whether we like it or not. So, yeah.
It's not a pity party. Don't come there looking for a pity party. We speak healing. We are healed. We need to normalize healing as much as we talk about our problems.
Yeah, and healing requires honesty. Honesty, you need to come there, acknowledge what you did, what you didn't do, and what is it that you want for you to heal. Those who are lucky enough to come across people who are willing to say, I'm sorry. But if you don't get that sorry, you need to heal yourself, forgive yourself, and keep it moving.
Wow, it was more than anything what I got from today.
Yeah.
I've been asking people what they gave my child, but I couldn't explain it. But today you gave me something, and for that, that's good enough for me. I'm not sure if it's the exact same thing, but I'll go with that. I will go with that.
I'm glad.
Thank you so much.
Because honestly, a lot of it's precisely for those things, to protect the child. Because there are certain things saying Wana sees Bushio and they don't make sense. So if hence or sometimes, like in my case, I used to cry a lot as a baby because of the name that they gave me. They had to change the name. And once they did that, I guess our spirit or that person wanted to be with me. Makgofe was fine. Makgofe stopped crying. So it could be a variety of things. So it also depends on was ngwana nani jang one la boshego lina le ba mo feeling traditionally ba mo feeling those things, and it makes me upset for that was not communicated to you, and yet now. So how do you expect the parents or the mother to continue giving one as yes, to still, but she does not understand. And if something happens to one, I'm first in the right content, or like I don't, that mentality needs to change. There's nothing to be ashamed of when you talk about Julie Chabongak. There's nothing to be ashamed of. The only shame that should come into the fold is when you're going to try to destroy my pillow about. That's where I draw the line. all gloves are off. Lina, I don't understand. That part I don't understand. Traditional stuff is supposed to help anchor a person for your own growth, for your own good. But when you want to do those things, black magic, you don't want to lawyer about. I don't understand, because that person on already. So you're saying, hey, ancestors must do what? Fold their hands and just watch you commit those things. And then they turn around and say like, yo, God, God, God. But God is for all of us. And what are we differently? Yeah, for some he will take time. But for those that he has extra plans for, my sister, you are...
It is between them and God. I'm not kissing them, I have forgiven them, but I'm let God to his way.
You have to, because they put you in that path. It was not your plans to do those things, but because God wanted to do something through you, and he used them. Hence, it's going to come 360 for them. They will come and ask for forgiveness, because that was just wrong. There's certain things I would not even stand for. Like I said earlier, my younger brother knows I would not stand for certain nonsense. I will call you out. I'm a woman. You know, so issues saying involve women, I will stand for my sister. I will stand for what is right. I'm not biased in the sense of like, no, he's my brother. And no, bullshit is bullshit. Let's call that out. Period. I don't care. But I want to marry, I want to take care of it. I want you to be a part of our family. She is part of our family. So yeah, therefore I will treat her like she's part of me. Because the same thing when it comes to relationships. If I'm a mother and my son will marry someone and treats one to somehow, I need to be able as a parent to like, no, call it out like I see you. We don't do that. We don't do that. But hey, so what? I'm gonna be support whatever it is that maybe I might hate about you. I should have communicated that. So now because I was told and that doesn't mean I need to support him because he's doing those things to you. And a lot of mothers do that. Even if one wrong is wrong. Like, okay, and now she's doing this to us. How? Because there's someone that is going to turn around and say, yeah, but when you supported me, what's the problem now with me? This to her. You know, those things come back to bite us. Because deep down when you know what it is wrong, but you still say, I dear, no, it's wrong. It's wrong. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we're actually towards the end of the live, but I really, really appreciate your support, and I apologize, I did not let you guys know in advance that I'll be doing this. Next time, we'll unpack it properly. I hope we'll have a follow-up discussion on this, because I know that there's a lot of people that have their own challenges, or probably the same as you, and they want someone to talk to. Because some people are not, they don't have the finances to go see a counselor, a psychologist, a psychiatrist. But when you talk to someone who you can relate to, that relatability factor is very, very important.
I do, actually, because that's funny now. You know, God, when God wants to use you, He will use you. He will find you. I initially wanted to be a psychologist, but my love for money led me into accounting. But through this experience, I found that a lot of people reach out to me through inbox, through YouTube, through Instagram, all those different platforms, and I am able to. I don't understand how God created me, but I'm loving it. I've got the maturity that I the wisdom. All I know is that I'm able to help people. Yeah. I'm there. I'm available to help people go. I have answers. Trust you me. I have answers for most of the things. How to get out of a toxic relationship. It was not an easy one. How to survive. How to be a single mother. Healthy co-parenting. All those things. I am able to provide.
So how long has it been now?
4.5 years.
You're a single mom. You've been single for 4 years. No love. Single.
Please don't make me laugh.
Let me drink my 8 liters of water, because now I'm being told to like finish your class. I'll do that.
I've been a single mother. Let's leave it at that.
Nobody will come.
Yeah,
will come, and someone that will be praying for you. You don't necessarily have to like do much praying. He'll be praying for you.
Mm.
He will also be your anchor, because the spiritual journey is not easy. It is not for the weak at heart. And you need someone who will be your rock, someone who understands you without sometimes you saying anything. Your silence will be speaking something and he will get it. You know? So God does have those people in our path. But then I'm sure guys, life. Life will show you flames, and you need to do. And the ironic thing is, you are strong. You are strong. Even the things that you want to do, those like, the next preaching, something will happen. Be like,
Yeah.
Okay, do I really want to do that? Now I'm second guessing. That's when you know, like, no. I've been created for a greater purpose, and I see now it doesn't make sense because of what I'm going through. But
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
Yeah.
No,
We live.
there's nothing.
We keep it moving.
The same treatment that you get in business, for you to get your business, or like, listen, you want that money to come in to enjoy, is the same setup that is needed in a relationship. You will work for it, because you need to get it into the you need to create it to be what you want. It's not going to fall into place. Number two is not a psychic. It means this. You need to communicate your love languages. You need to communicate those little things. There's little things telling our partners do, and you be like, oh, like, pick up your pens. Just, can you brush your teeth? Just wipe the miranyana, pumulanyana more. Can you wipe the tap? You know, you're rinsing. So those little things until you reach a point like, it's okay, give me a fork down to work. I'm so all a sack. Give us bonyak. Yeah, no, give us bonyak. Eriki your top. Eriki put your home. Baby, are you okay? Do you need coffee? Do you need tea? Yeah, listen, you make it work. Yeah, you make it work because you know, like, listen, whenever I try to. And then when it was all good, like, it's okay, like, don't worry, I'll pick it up. And then there comes a point where, like, you feel like you want to, this person, and then, like, it's my camera, it's like, why is that to be the charity? I'm not going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, I see it. So, yeah, such is life, guys. Give it Instagram live. I couldn't know whether that time I was like, listen.
Go time.
No time. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. I enjoyed this talk. Lina, I kind of healed. I came here to purge. So Lina kind of purged my own challenges and issues and certain things that they were not making sense in my life. And I like that. I don't know, just veering of course, but it's pertinent to what you went through with regards to suicide. I saw this episode, Itlozilam. I love the show, guys. Like, I love Itlozilam. I love the gift that God planted into her. Like, and the way she explains spiritual things, why they happen to you, traditional, cultural things, and we take for granted some of them. And then we'll be like, why would I want to do that? Yo. My next door, so maybe that's like a lawyer or a half or whatever. No. She breaks it down. So episode this Tuesday, it was about a family that it started with it was a family of 5.
Okay.
So the older brother committed suicide, and then I think a few years later, the father committed suicide. And then a few or 1 year later, the mother fela lotu. And basar lotu jigi mutu passed on mysteriously. So what she did is 2. It's a sister. It was 2 boys and 1 girl. So the sister is the anchor to this one. But now the younger brother, Tebo, he couldn't make sense of like, okay, why did this thing happen to our family? The father didn't even know. He went into a garage, he bought something. He drank. They see this on a video. CCTV, the garage, drank, came home, collapsed. Game over, gone. So no notes, nothing. So when she broke it down, now like when she comes into a space, But she'll ask like, can I get 3 chairs? To acknowledge the deceased there, yeah. And they've got something to say because you have unanswered questions. You need them to answer you. And they did answer. I didn't know how to commit suicide within the family. Because it does happen. When someone kills themselves, to pick up someone within the family. It roams around. You guys did not reprimand the spirits. Like, you shouldn't do that. Don't come back here. We don't want you. They had to do that. But they didn't do that because they didn't know. So their father committed suicide. Their mother left. Also, she passed on. And then Tsepo was hooked on drugs because he just couldn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
He couldn't make sense. And lately, the brother, but I share note, I think, if I remember vividly. So now when the one answers, apparently the brother committed suicide because at work. And it didn't happen. It was disappointment after another. On the day that he was supposed to start that job, that particular job ending, he was so excited about, and so he was like, okay, I'm gonna, start a family. I'm gonna, my little family. On the day that he was supposed to start a miracle, so when people was like, yeah, you know that what you're saying, like people needed answers because it didn't make sense, and there were no answers to be given. So I'm like, okay, do the elders know what to do? Do you know how you have to flog the muhu? Moya ola lo khala like oska boya onapo o roba le moya o don't come back utlocha omo. Do we know that? I didn't know. I was not aware of that. There's certain things in that we do as people, and we don't understand the consequences, and those consequences are deadly. So deadly that you think like you're doing something in secret, you don't communicate to the people around you. Those things, no one can stand those consequences. So she helped the family heal. She helped them do certain things because to a certain degree, but he still made a choice to do drugs. And the family got fragmented as well. So you can see that the ripple effect was so deep. But when they got the spiritual closure as to why did you do that? Why did that happen? It made sense. It made sense. So they are kind of interlinked, but it depends on how you see things and what it is that you want to get some of those answers. But the certain things that can be done, especially when it comes to or suicide, only you can stop that energy to roam within the family. To take a place has like, okay, why? What is so difficult and can be communicated to? And it's got absolutely nothing to do with your family. Absolutely nothing. I mean, when someone feels like they're failing the very same people that are going to be blamed for your death. Imagine that. And I don't think where your father is wanted that to happen to you guys. Probably there's something he felt like, okay, maybe I failed in this and I wanted my family, because we all have aspirations. I wanted my family to live this kind of lifestyle and I couldn't, give them that. Or there's something principal, a very ending, like he failed on, he erred so badly. It's like, no ways, if this comes out, I can't answer. And yet it's better to leave, because even when apparently Tsepo was also having suicidal thoughts, and maybe my brother, maybe it will be better. The brother, you don't want to come here. You don't want to come here, it's not nice. It's not nice. We are not at peace here. It is not nice, people. So live your life, make the best of it. But when you are assured like that, it kind of makes sense and it gives you that enkanya, okay, so whatever it is that this life throws at me,
the other thing, people need to learn to get themselves help. I always tell people, when you feel like you're not okay, whether it is a temporary situation or you're depressed, you need to go deeper in your faith. Yeah. Be it Christianity, if you're depressed, go deeper and have a strong relationship with God. If you believe in traditional things, go deeper into that. It will really, really help you a lot. Yeah. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that you need to get help. You need to do something about it.
You need some sort of therapy. Because otherwise, you remain in that dark space, and when you don't see light inside.
And also that traumas in life, they don't go away. It is
No,
unless
they don't.
you suffer some sort
And
of
they
accident
manifest
and
it
you
differently.
and your brain gets washed out somehow, which is rare. It does happen, but it's
Yeah,
rare.
having
Unless
amnesia,
unless that happens, you need to find healthy ways to live with trauma. That is really the only way.
Well, I hope they'll tune in and, you know, ask for help, or if they can't tune in, they can find someone who can equally, you know, be helpful to them. So guys, I'm gonna have to, like, you know, switch and save this. I will save the video. And yeah, thank you guys, those who made time. We know you didn't plan for this.